So you look up here. Say, hi, everybody. I'm Ripley. Hi, everybody. I'm Ripley. Look up here. Here. Up here. There you go. Give him a good look. Say, I'm Ripley. I'm Ripley, everybody. How are you doing? Oh, that's a good look. You gave him a good look, didn't you? What do you think of the football game tonight so far? You hear Finley barking outside. He's looking for another dog who's barking outside. How you doing, everybody? Thanks for popping by. I see more of you coming in. This is my puppy, Ripley. He's a pretty sweet guy. Aren't you? Aren't you, sweet boy? He's a pretty sweet guy. Not bad. Go Braves, somebody said. No, we don't want the Braves. We want the Dodgers, right? Dodgers number 1. Braves number 2. Astros number 3. Red Sox number 800 million. You want to take this dog from me? Say bye, Ripley. Don't come on this camera. You can say hi.
Hello.
There you go. Close that door behind you, all right? Okay. What's going on, people? No, that is a Cavapoo. Cavapoo. Everybody says golden doodle. And I think Derrick Henry said today that he had a golden doodle. I thought it was cool what the Titans did this week wearing the dog shirts. It was a good way to promote their pet adoption cause. So Blake Bedingfield's preview of this game is out. Greetings, paulkarski.com, old school t-shirt. Blake Bedingfield's preview's out. You can go to the site for that. It's on the public Facebook page. I'll tweet it out in the morning, but he's more optimistic about the Kansas City game than I would have anticipated. Thinks, they really forced the ball. Mahomes really forces the ball to Tyreek Hill and to Travis Kelce, but didn't get too much into the Titans on the field to stop those guys. Big concern, obviously, who's going to stop Hill. But pass rush can certainly have a big bearing on that. And he's got some concerns about the way Mahomes is playing right now in terms of his willingness to drop in the pocket, try to make throws, falling backwards, off one foot, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's that. Stephen Jordan says he didn't think KC's defense is worth a shit. Yeah, it's not. Titans defense is not exactly a fortress either, especially against people who make big chunk plays. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Chris Jackson and Julio Jones limited today. Yeah, trending in the right direction. Chris Jackson's actually more important in this game than Julio Jones. Yeah, AJ's going to play. They'll get him right by Sunday. It's a long, long way off. Yeah, Brian, that's easier said than done. Double teamed very good receivers make plays pretty regularly in the National Football League, and limit big plays as a mantra sounds great, but the Titans have a tendency to give up big plays. You got a beer for $12 at the Stones concert? Was it like a regular small can of beer? You have a good time at it, Mark? I thought it was pretty terrific. Hill didn't practice yesterday or today with a quad injury, but I would imagine that he will play. If he doesn't play, that changes things for sure. But I haven't seen anything expressing real concern, so I would imagine he plays. And by the way, look at our eagerness for Chris Jackson to play. Chris Jackson is no cornerback savior. He's a guy with some speed. You line him up in the slot against Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill is going to catch a very high percentage of balls against him. Yeah, Ed, I think we all think this way he asks, think they'll move a higher round pick for a cornerback. Our picks don't play anyway, so why not? John Robinson doesn't think that way. I mean, he wants his cracks with high picks. They already don't have a second rounder in the Julio Jones trade. So I would be stunned if they like move their first rounder for Xavier Howard. And then sat out the first and second round of the draft. I just can't see it. They just spent a first rounder on a cornerback, and last year they spent a second rounder on a cornerback. So that would be 2 first rounders and a second rounder on a cornerback, and one of those cornerbacks would be in line for a new contract or thinks he's in line for a new contract. So I don't foresee it. I mean, they could do something like they did with Desmond King last year, but I'm not expecting something massive now. I mean, if they really consider themselves in a go for it position and take a massive swing, I would respect that, but I'll be surprised by it. So we shall see. Well, I think Tyreek is the tougher matchup because of the people they have to match up with him. I mean, I think Hooker and Byard and Long are guys who give you a chance against Kelsey, who gives you a chance against Hill that's on this roster. I think McNichols is going to play. Evans, I believe, was activated October 6th, and he's got 21 days. So October 27th would be his day, and today's October 21st. So he's got a little bit of time. When's the 27th? It could go into next week, right? Today's the 21st. Could go to next Wednesday. But, I mean, I don't see him. If McNichols is healthy, I don't see Darrynton Evans playing ahead of McNichols. I don't know. McNichols been pretty good doing what McNichols does. Chiefs run defense, a question here. Let's see. I'll pull up some numbers in front of me. Kansas City gives up 133 rushing yards a game. So that's a pretty decent number. And I'll go see what they're ranked in overall yardage, which I have in a different part of this screen. I need to start printing out these 2 pages to have quicker access to them. Kansas City's overall run defense is, somebody's probably looked it up by now, 27th. Kansas City's 28th in overall defense. This is yardage, 27th against the run, tied for 25th against the pass. They're all offense. Number 2 overall, 10th rushing, 2nd passing. So you know how they're going to win it. Well, they play 2 deep safeties, many have. Well, if David Long is going to cover Kelsey, they'll play 2 deep safeties. But I could see Hooker and or Byard involved in covering Kelsey. So I don't think that Pharaoh Cooper is going to be on this roster replacing Cam Batson. I think that's covering their bases and getting their records up to date. He's not better than anybody that's on this roster. I think if Monty Rice is healthier and readier to go, then Avery Williamson's role won't be much. He was here mostly to protect against that. And Monty Rice today was, what was he? Monty Rice limited both days this week. Everybody should be. He was limited both days this week. Everybody should be kicking off short to the Titans and making them come out. Their average field position after a kickoff is less than the 25. So until it's more than the 25, make them bring it out every time. They're not the first team that's done that, Patrick. Dawson Knox turned into a nice player. I'm sorry about his hand. Who are the top 5 teams in the AFC? It's hard not to put Baltimore at the top right now. I think Buffalo's still pretty good, though. The Titans exposed them for their faults, so they're not just because they lost a game, but they're not as good as a lot of us made them out to be based on what we saw there. Let me get the standings in front of me, and I'll give you a solid answer to that very good question. It's hard not to put the Ravens first. I'd put the Ravens first. I would probably put the Bills second, Chargers third, Titans fourth. Bengals fifth. Raiders sixth. Browns. That sounds semi-reasonable. Nothing big from the coordinators. I wrote about I'm not very impressed with Todd Downing's scripting. Titans have done a field goal on their first drive out of the entire 6 games. 20 points in the first quarter. Poor, very poor. This team has a lot of comeback wins under Mike Vrabel, but I think they were 5th in first quarter points last year, and they're 19th now or something like that. It's in the story. It's not satisfactory, and you script your best stuff a lot of times. Your script is something that you see going into the game. Well, we could hit them with this, and this early, and it really takes advantage of that, and that. And Titans are failing miserably in that department. So that's very good. Oh, I'd leave the Chiefs out. That was bad. I don't love the Chiefs right now, but I wouldn't put them very high. I'd put them maybe 7th. I think they're a flawed team. I really do. Everybody thinks they're going to definitely revive themselves. I'm not so sure about that. If Lamb starts, is Radunz first in at offensive tackle or second in at guard? Well, he's first in at guard. Who would be in front of him? There's no guard in front of him. Who's the third guard? Is Radunz. If Lamb starts, this new guy they signed yesterday is probably the first tackle off the bench. Radunz, just last week, Keith Carter was saying he's a man without a home, and they wanted to alleviate that. So that sounded to me like they were pinning him more to guard and maybe even more to left guard because Saffold was the most likely guy to fall out. So I don't think he's the showing up at tackle. But that's a very good question. I think the new guy whose name I don't remember, I'm sorry, is next man up at tackle. I can find that quickly here. I'm glad my family's taken this occasion to not make a lot of noise. Hart, Bobby Hart. I think he could be the next tackle in line. Man, this must be Trucks. Trucks finally concerned about Jones. Thought they were being overly conservative to make a big run on more relevant games because you think there are more relevant games. This idea that there are more relevant games when you're talking about week 6 and week 7. Reveal yourself, Trucks. There are no games more relevant than other games when you're in this early in the season. You have to win games. Chargers run defense will get better. That's a good team, well coached. Had a bad matchup against the Ravens. Agree. They need to route somebody from the start, somebody inferior. Yeah, Brian, if somebody has this level of stats, it's not me. Sorry, I think you probably asked for that before. I mean, that's some high level stuff. And I think by nature, every team is going to be more successful with the shorter stuff than with the deeper stuff. By nature, it's longer developing. The deeper drop stuff, there's more potential. It takes longer. There's more potential for pass rush to get involved. There's less potential for for a deeper throw to be completed. So I think it's built in that quick play is likely to be more successful than a long developing play. Now, to what degree that is, we would see if we had access to those stats, but I don't. I'm sorry. I mean, obviously, it's more than food poisoning. It's a stomach virus, I would say. I'm no doctor, but I think that's an easy conclusion to draw. Chucks, I'm done having this conversation about working load management against lesser teams. I apparently you missed the Jets game. Where does Henry rank on the best player I've covered? It's a good question. Running back is a bit more reliant on other players than, say, Javon Curse was as a pass rusher who's just going to go beat an end or a double team. Or a wide receiver. Not that the Titans have this type of guy, but a wide receiver would be in terms of just beating. Oftentimes man coverage or, man with help. So I'd have to give that some thought, Ed, but he certainly would be high on the list. I mean, Bruce Matthews is probably the best player I covered, though it wasn't his best ball. Hall of Famer. Kevin Mawai was still playing very well when I covered him, Hall of Famer. Ben, I think you should read Blake Bedingfield's scouting preview of this game. And it'll tell you a little bit about that. I also think, 8 interceptions. I saw one against Washington that was right through Tyreek Hill's hands And there was at least another one like that. So some of that is the turning of luck, where balls that were caught for him are not being caught for him. But read Blake's piece. It explained a little bit of what he's doing and why it's not working. Yeah. So this is common. Let's see here. Well, you got to take this bigger, expand a little, and Mike Munchak's in there. I mean, Hutchinson hardly did a thing here. It was 1 year at the tail end, but go back a little bit before Matthews, and you got Munchak, Matthews, Mawai, Hutchinson. It's pretty remarkable. Jordan, I think I'm going to go back to something here in a minute, but Firkser's past production was related a little bit to Jonnu, but it's also related to Arthur Smith actually calling plays for Firkser. Downing isn't putting tight ends on the field as much as Arthur Smith did, and he's, how many plays do you remember called for Firkser lately? They're not targeting him. I know they always say it's the progression of the play, but somebody's number one in the play. So when you call a play, you're calling a play knowing who the number one option is and knowing if the number one option wins, the ball's going to go to him. I don't know that they've called a lot of plays where Firkser was the number one option. So, I mean, I don't even understand how this is a question, Stephen. Who else would be in the conversation for being the best wide receiver on the Titans since Derek Mason? And AJ's quickly going to be better than Derek Mason. Let me go back here. Here. Who is the corner? I mean, you think they played Monday Night Football. So you think on Tuesday morning, when most teams are already a day further into their preparation week than the Titans are, they can just automatically pull off a trade like that? I'm sure they've made some phone calls, but I don't think they're going to give up the house. I think if you see a guy, it's probably going to be like Desmond King. But the idea that they could just make a trade immediately and find somebody who, by the way, is going to help them in a short week, if it's a guy unfamiliar with their system and everything, kind of silly. Trade expectations and trade demands of fans, particularly here, Zell, by you, are just kind of unrealistic. It's very baseballish. I wonder if you're a baseball fan. But you expect them to trade for a shortstop and have him bat third and play shortstop the next day. I don't think Greg Mayman will play much. I think Chris Jones will be elevated and play. I think if Chris Jackson's able to play, you'll see Jenkins. You'll see Borders. You'll see Molden. You see Chris Jones fourth. Maben would be fifth. Well, Tyler asks, scheme or individual play, which has a bigger impact on the pressure the defense is getting on the quarterback? Well, no matter what scheme you draw up, if Harold Landry isn't doing good work, he's not the scheme doesn't matter. So, I mean, both of them factor in, but players got to execute and do something and win one-on-one or affect the double team or something. So I'm always going to lean towards players on that. Players have to execute the scheme, beat the one-on-one, win the matchup. that the scheme creates, or do something beyond the scheme. No, Jamie, I don't. That's why this team's probably not going to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's conceivable they could do it with Fulton, I guess. Fulton coming back. You know, if you had Fulton, Jenkins, got to play better than he's played, and then a combination of Molden and Jackson, it's possible. Tremaine Brock? I don't know. You think Tremaine Brock is the answer? I don't know. I mean, if you're acting like Tremaine Brock is going to solve things. I don't think there's a long wait if you're being tested where you are and you get here quickly. I don't think it's like it was last year. No, I'm not surprised. I mean, Jonnu had big numbers through 5 games last year, and then he was asked to block a lot, and his numbers went down quite a bit. But I mean, Corey Davis had a career year and a contract year, and they're not throwing to Johnny Smith. So if you're not throwing to him, I don't know what you're expecting. Corey's not playing for a very good quarterback. They both got overpaid. God bless them. A couple more and we'll go back to games. Yeah, I'm not a great X's and O guy here, Brian. But they need things like I mean, they're playing better on third down and they're getting better pressure. What they need is for those things to turn into better scoring defense. That's what I think the Titans need. They need better scoring defense. And they had better scoring defense, better enough against the Bills with the red zone defense. 2 for 5 against the Bills was pretty good and good enough to win. Now they gave up a 29-yard touchdown. So it was, they were 2 for 5. They kind of were 3 for 6 if you add 9 yards to the red zone. Reading this big tight end question from Stoney. Stoney, I wrote a story about this last week about where the Titans fit in and what they're doing and what they're not doing. It addresses some of that. Allen, his injury, his recovery from ACL repair is the answer to that. Yeah, Patrick Hutton was pointing this out, but the league has really hit a home run with primetime games being entertaining. And I'm all about close games as opposed to marquee teams. Marquee teams have been in a lot of close games, and there have been a lot of close games even in the games that have featured, I can't remember who the Jaguars played, but even that was a good game. So let's go back and watch this. Don't block the box, do lock the locks. Tune in tomorrow, Outkick 360, 2 to 5 Central Time. I'll have some props for you to play on FanDuel if that's your liking, and we'll cover a lot of stuff previewing the Titans, the NFL, college football. A bunch of good guests, including Keith Bullock, who we haven't visited with in a long time. So check us out. Don't block the box. Do lock the locks. I appreciate you coming by. Always good to visit. Talk to you soon. Read Blake's column up tomorrow morning. Catch up on everything I've written. Don't miss out.